The gleaming glass elevator ascended silently through the atrium of Meridian Square, once a failing mall in downtown Chicago, now the crown jewel of my retail revolution. Sunlight streamed through the transformed skylight, dancing off the living walls where tropical plants thrived in vertical gardens. Below, crowds moved through carefully curated spaces that blended shopping, dining, and entertainment into something entirely new. "Ms. Alexandra Bennett?" A voice called from behind me. "Your sister's here for the meeting." I turned to find my assistant, Marcus, tablet in hand. His expression was carefully neutral, but I caught the slight raise of his eyebrow. He knew the history here. "Where is she?" I asked, though I already knew. Olivia would be waiting in the main lobby, probably pacing in her designer heels, practicing the pitch she thought would win me over. "Ground floor, by the fountain," Marcus confirmed. "Should I have security escort her up?" I smiled, remembering the last family dinner I'd attended 3 years ago. Olivia had been particularly vocal that night, wine glass in hand, voice dripping with condescension. "You're buying another dead mall?" She'd laughed, while our parents exchanged worried glances. "God, Alex, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? These retail dinosaurs are extinct for a reason." Now her luxury brand was desperate for space in one of my dinosaurs. Funny how things change. "No escort needed," I told Marcus. "I'll meet her downstairs." The elevator descended smoothly, giving me a panoramic view of what $500 million in renovation could do. The old food court was now an artisanal market where local chefs rotated through custom kitchens. The abandoned department store spaces had been transformed into mixed-use facilities, co-working offices, boutique fitness studios, and experiential retail concepts that couldn't exist anywhere else. 5 years ago, this place had been a ghost town, just like the other 12 properties I'd acquired across the country. Everyone said I was crazy. Everyone except James, my old economics professor who became my first investor. "The death of retail is greatly exaggerated," he'd told me over coffee, looking through my business plan. "It's not dying, it's evolving. The question is, who's going to shape that evolution?" I stepped out of the elevator into the main lobby, spotting Olivia immediately. She stood by the central fountain, designer bag clutched tight, staring up at the massive digital art installation that covered the entire west wall. The piece changed constantly, responding to the movement and energy of the crowds below. "Hello, Olivia," I said quietly. She spun around, and for a moment I saw genuine emotion flash across her face. Surprise, maybe even awe, before her professional mask slipped back into place. "Alex," she breathed. This is incredible." "Thank you," I replied simply. "Shall we discuss why you're here?" She straightened, switching to business mode. "Yes, well, as I mentioned in my email, Maison Laurent is looking to establish a significant presence in key markets, and your properties, particularly Meridian Square, align perfectly with our brand vision." I nodded, gesturing for her to walk with me. "And 3 years ago, when I invited Maison Laurent to be one of our anchor tenants?" She had the grace to look uncomfortable. The market was different then. We didn't fully understand the potential of dead malls. I finished for her. Funny how perspective changes when something starts generating $2,000 per square foot in annual sales. We walked past a pop-up space where a local designer was showcasing their latest collection. The lines stretched around the corner. Next door, a tech company was demonstrating new AR mirrors that let shoppers virtually try on clothes without changing. "The waiting list for retail space is currently 2 years," I continued. "We're very selective about our tenants. Each one needs to contribute something unique to the ecosystem we're building." "We understand that," Olivia said quickly. "Maison Laurent can offer." I held up my hand, stopping her. "Before we continue this conversation, I need to ask you something." I turned to face her fully. "Do you remember what you said at Dad's birthday dinner? About my little real estate project?" She flushed. "Alex, that was years ago." "I was wrong," I finished. "You were wrong. Just like Mom was wrong when she begged me to sell my condo to stop throwing money away on these properties. Just like Dad was wrong when he called my business plan delusional." The memory of that night still stung. I'd just closed on my 3rd property, a massive mall outside Detroit that everyone said was worthless. The family had staged what felt like an intervention, trying to save me from myself. "Look at Amazon," Dad had shouted, waving his phone. "Look at online shopping. Physical retail is dead, Alexandra." Dead, but I'd seen something they hadn't. I'd spent 2 years studying retail trends, consumer behavior, and urban development. I knew that people didn't just want to shop, they wanted experiences, community, connection. They wanted spaces that surprised and delighted them, that made them feel part of something special. The future of retail isn't about choosing between digital and physical, I'd tried to explain. It's about creating something entirely new. Hybrid spaces that combine the best of both worlds. They dismissed me. Every one of them. Even Olivia, my own sister, had practically laughed me out of the house. Now she stood in the middle of my vision made real, surrounded by the proof of everything I'd predicted. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was wrong, she said suddenly, her voice small. I'm sorry, Alex. What you've built here, it's revolutionary. I studied her face, searching for the sincerity I'd always hoped to see. Thank you, I said finally. That means something. But it doesn't change my answer about Maison Laurent. Her face fell. But the space you're interested in is already reserved, I explained. For a local designer collective. They're doing incredible things with sustainable fashion and community education. We could pay triple their rate, she offered quickly. Whatever they've offered, we'll. It's not about the money, Olivia. I gestured to the bustling spaces around us. Every tenant here is part of a larger vision. We're not just renting space, we're building ecosystems. Communities. The future of retail isn't about individual brands. It's about creating destinations where commerce and culture intersect. I led her toward the central atrium, where a local dance company was performing. Crowds had gathered on multiple levels to watch, phones recording, social media buzzing in real time. This performance will drive foot traffic to every store in this wing, I explained. The restaurants will see a surge in dinner reservations. The boutiques will get spillover browsing that converts to sales. It's all connected. Olivia watched the dancers, understanding slowly dawning on her face. This isn't just a mall, she said. It's an ecosystem. Exactly. I smiled. And every piece has to fit perfectly. Just then my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. Time for your 2 p.m. The Singapore investors are ready. I have another meeting, I told Olivia. But let's have dinner soon. Really talk. Not as business competitors, as sisters. She nodded, clutching her bag a little tighter. I'd like that. She turned to leave, then paused. Alex, you proved us all wrong. I hope you know that. I watched her walk away, remembering the lonely nights poring over market research, the maxed-out credit cards, the doubts that crept in during the darkest moments. But I also remembered the first time I walked into an abandoned mall and saw not what it was, but what it could become. That vision had carried me through every obstacle, every setback, every dismissive comment from family and friends. Now, standing in the heart of my retail revolution, I knew it had all been worth it. The next morning, I sat in my office reviewing expansion plans. We were looking at properties in London, Dubai, and Tokyo. The Singapore investors wanted to discuss bringing the concept to Asia. Our waiting list for retail space now stretched into 2025. A news alert popped up on my screen. Retail revolutionary. How Alexandra Bennett is reinventing the American mall. Below it was a photo of Meridian Square at night, its transformed facade glowing like a beacon in the Chicago skyline. I smiled, thinking of all the people who said it couldn't be done. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Saw you on CNBC this morning. Dad and I are so proud. We were wrong about everything. Another buzz, this time from Olivia. Remember that retail dinosaur comment? I take it back. Also, can we move that dinner up to this week? Have some ideas I'd love to run by you. I set the phone down and walked to the window, looking out over my first dead mall. Now the most valuable retail property in 3 states. The morning sun caught the solar panels that powered the entire complex, making them shimmer like diamonds. A quote from my first business plan, written in my tiny studio apartment, came back to me. The future belongs to those who can see potential where others see only decay. I'd written that line at 2 a.m., running on coffee and determination, trying to convince investors to believe in my crazy dream. Now those words were engraved in the entrance of every property we owned. Marcus knocked gently, entering with his tablet. The Tokyo team is ready for your call, and the community board wants to discuss the urban farming initiative for the roof space. I nodded, turning from the window. There was still so much to build, so many possibilities to explore. The retail revolution was just beginning. And somewhere, in another dead mall waiting to be transformed, the next chapter of this story was ready to be written. Schedule the calls, I told Marcus. And let's move up the timeline on the sustainability projects. The future isn't waiting. Why should we? He smiled, knowing that look in my eye. The same look that had turned an abandoned shopping center into a billion-dollar empire. The look that said, "What impossible thing are we going to make real today?" As I headed to my next meeting, I passed the wall where we displayed headlines from the early days. Dead malls, a retail wasteland. Online shopping kills another mall. The end of brick and mortar? Below them, in larger text, was our company's response. The future isn't dead. It's just being reinvented. And that's exactly what we were doing, one dead mall at a time. If you've ever been called a dreamer, ever been told your vision was impossible, or ever stood alone believing in something no one else could see, then you understand exactly what drove me forward. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. The next time someone tells you something can't be done, remember this. Every revolution starts with someone crazy enough to see possibility where others see only the past. So dream big, build bigger, and never let anyone's limitations become your reality. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's building something so incredible they can't help but admit they never saw it coming. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about turning impossible dreams into billion-dollar realities. Because this journey, it's just beginning. Remember, the future belongs to those who can see potential where others see only decay. What do you see?